Being rich is a necessity these days. Even a kid could tell you that. But the mistake that some make is that they start and stop at their appearance. The flashiest bags, the biggest cars, expensive dresses, and so on. It's all for show. It's all for validation. The ironic part is that although give off the perception of a rich person, their finances are in shambles. Acting rich may give you a title and some praise in society, but what's the point in having that when you don't have any money stacked away for your future self? Trying to look rich is keeping you poor, and today, I'm going to tell you why. So make sure you give this video a big thumbs up for that YouTube algorithm and subscribe if you haven't already. So now, let's dive into it. Number 7. Excessive spending. I don't know about you, but acting like someone I'm not is quite exhausting. And most of the time it's because I'm trying to impress people who really couldn't care less. Harsh, sure, but it's the truth. Now I get that. Nobody wants to look like the poor guy when they're around rich people, but it's a surefire way to find yourself in financial disaster. The good news is that taking steps towards combating your overspending are actually quite easy. This can be approached in manageable steps at first. Small, controllable adjustments made gradually have a higher chance of sticking over time. Setting concrete goals and laying a foundation with a budget and emergency fund may be more beneficial than relying solely on willpower. It's also wise if you stay away from your rich friends, especially if you can sense that they only ever gather for events where one must spend money. The wise thing to do is to stick to your budget, live below your means, and separate yourself from so-called friends who make you act like someone you're truly not. Number 6. Excessive borrowing. Most individuals tend to take out huge loans from banks just to fuel their expensive status. But here is some news for you. Friend, this is how you end up with horrible finances. So, you're trying to look rich, but then you end up with less and less money each time. It's funny that the opposite is actually happening. In your attempt to be rich, what you are actually doing is digging your own financial grave. The word ironic cannot be used enough when talking about this topic. The good news is that there is always a solution to every problem. For this particular problem, the simple way to not end up in this situation is, don't pay for things you cannot afford. If you remember from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki talked about your financial and income statement. He talked about two main sections in a typical income statement. These are your assets and liabilities. Your assets are basically things that bring in money, and your liabilities are things that take away money. He said that we should always spend more of our money in the assets column and spend our money on assets that bring in money and do our best to reduce our liabilities. In this case, trying to look rich is a big liability. As you probably know, credit card loans and debt are not worth it. That being said, using your credit card and paying it back is actually a really good thing. This is because the more you borrow and pay back in time will increase your credit score, which in the future will make things like getting a mortgage to buy a house a lot easier and cheaper too. So, if you are going to take out a loan, make sure that you can pay it back. Oh, and please, don't take out the loan to buy Gucci. Number 5. You'll be investing less if not at all. It's common knowledge that wealthy people have multiple streams of income, investing being one of them. A lot of people talk about the power of compound interest, and a lot of common folk are urged to get their hands dirty with it as soon as they can. Here's the thing though, if you're neck deep in debt and trying to pay off loan after loan, setting money aside for investing seems like a pipe dream. If you truly want to look like the rich, imitate their principles and routines instead of their closet. In fact, I can guarantee you that truly wealthy people care less about logos and more about their future. They consistently make investments in both retirement and non-retirement accounts. They know that money is a hard-earned commodity, so they track their income and expenses in order to maximize the returns. So, borrow a page from our rich friends and quit the logo mania. Focus on how you can build your investment portfolio if you want to be viewed as an actual rich person. Number 4. You'll always want to financially support others. The rich understand the value of money. They've earned it after all. When it comes to giving it away, they're a little hesitant, and they do so only after a lot of careful consideration. As much as helping others, be it family or friends, is a noble thing to do, but don't fall into the trap of giving just to look rich at the expense of your own financial security. This doesn't mean you should stop giving altogether. No. As a matter of fact, if you've got more than enough money, it's an honorable thing to give to those in need. Here's how you should do it. Thoroughly investigate what they intend to spend it on. Don't give away your hard-earned money to someone who won't understand its value. Also, make sure that they will actually give it back. Don't be spineless. This is unless you really don't mind whether it comes back to you or not, in which case, still make sure the money is being used for appropriate things. Don't be open-handed with your finances just for appearance's sake. Number 3. You're overtreating yourself. We all love a good treat, especially if we've earned it. But if we're being honest, how many times have you treated yourself too much even when you knew there was no reason for it? Personally, I know I'm guilty and I've done that to myself many times. It starts with one iced coffee from the local overpriced cafe, and it's a downward spiral from there. But do you know what the actually rich folks do? The ones who don't care about appearances? They buy themselves a nice luxury handbag or a soft cashmere sweater once in a while. And when they do, they see it as an investment instead of a splurge, i.e. it's something that they will cherish forever and probably hand down to their children. Another thing they do is that they view treating themselves from a different perspective. They treat their bodies well. They treat their minds right. This means going to the gym every day and eating hearty, fresh, and healthy home-cooked meals every meal. They spend money on books and courses that will enlighten their minds and help them elevate every aspect of their life. I think we can all learn from these rich people instead of the appearance-crazed ones. Therefore, as the rich do, treat yourself to a good and healthy lifestyle. Number 2. You're getting comfortable. If you take a look at the rich guys who've worked their way up, they're well acquainted with hard work. If you want to reach their level of success, you need to step out of your comfort zone so that you can also build your own wealth. Leaving your comfort zone may involve taking a job you don't feel qualified for, learning a new skill, or asking for help from other people, and even losing sleep sometimes because you've got to run from job number 3 to job number 4. Don't get comfortable to the point where all you do is spend but you barely make enough. Develop the ability to function in a constant state of uncertainty, and it'll keep you above your finances. Number 1. Focusing on the present and not planning for the future. We've already touched on the spending patterns of actual rich people. A refresher: they take careful consideration before purchasing, and when they do, it's always a timeless piece that they'll have for generations. Don't be like that person who hops on trends 24/7. The person who, with each new iPhone release, throws away their old one to get the new one even though they don't need it. Focus on the future. Focus on building assets and your health. Aside from not spending mindlessly, ensure you have enough in retirement and savings accounts and that you've invested a large chunk of your income. When it does come time to spend, really think about it. Do I actually need this, or is it just another expense to fill the void? Planning for the future is rule number 1 in the How to Be Rich guidebook, and to ignore it is the biggest mistake you can make financially. So, don't fall into the trap of trying to look rich whilst breaking your bank account. If you feel like you need to change who you are to fit in, it's time for an honest evolution of yourself. Don't care so much about how you look to other people. As long as you're presentable and decently dressed, trust me when I say, you are good. Focus on what's actually important. Take the time to slowly build your wealth. Save, invest, and then save and invest some more. Think before you buy, and don't give in to impulses just to get the validation of people who don't know what they're talking about. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I do hope you have found this video both informative and entertaining. Also, I made a free guide for you which you can check out in the descriptions.